Sup, guys. We're here for the Yugioh Council. Welcome to Coffee Time, your Monday evening discussion video. Once again, there's no Theorio this week. It's on break for a little while. Just mainly because sometimes I just feel like I'm running out of ideas, and it's probably because just past couple of days. Anyways, we'll get to that. This is the dice roll format. It is the best way to describe it. If you go first, you pretty much have won the game, and it has become very, very apparent very quickly that this is an ABC format all the way down to January, and it sucks. But I'm not going to talk so negative about it. I'm just going to explain the dice roll format, what I think about this current format, and then we're not going to speak about it again until we get to January-ish. Because honestly, I just want to give my last 2 cents about it, and I'll also touch upon, of course, the does Yu-Gi-Oh! Take skill because everyone and their mom's doing it, but I just feel it needs to be touched upon. Just give my 2 cents and bury it. Let's put it that way. Because there's just something in the back of my mind that's been annoying me. But before we get completely underway, the lack of the slowdown of videos was mainly because I had to have minor surgery on my leg, but everything's okay. It's holding up alright. And Thursday is going to be the opening, not Wednesday, because, again, the leg, so stock market on Wednesday. Just so we're all informed on what days things are being released and people can't see. I didn't tell them. Sorry, that was supposed to be for the update, but nonetheless. Anyways, let's talk about this format. This format is pretty much just play, lock and try to win. It's not to say that it's not, doable to out a incredibly difficult board, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, and we've seen this before, but we have better tools to deal with it. And when I say that we've seen this before, if you look back to the Six Samurai format, the Inferni format, they've had triple solemns and triple barriers, and of course the triple Shein, when it was easier to do with triple gateway. That's not apparent anymore. What we have now is like ABCs, Menifos, and just treat-toe.deck. I'm not going to call it the totally version, let's put it that way, but just so you know exactly what I'm saying here. Dark Lords really don't stand a chance, and the product is kind of mediocre as of late. But, again, it's because we're Yu-Gi-Oh! Players and we enjoy the game regardless that people don't like when it's talked bad about. But let's be frank with each other. We are in a dice roll format. If you win the dice roll, chances are you will win the momentum swing. You will actually be able to win whether you decide to go first or second, wherever your comfort, zone exists in. Pretty much, if you can go first, make an incredible board that your opponent can't break, you have won the game. And then you go into siding, and it goes from there. So, is it fair to call it a dice roll format? I would believe so, because I just want to go back to the results that happened this weekend from the YCS from this weekend, from Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken, in which I'll try to find it and put it in correctly. So, 10 ABCs, a Paleozoic deck, Blue Eyes, and 4 Menifos made up the top 16. That's not completely a tier 0 format for ABC, but god damn it, it is pretty damn close. I don't think you or I or really anyone really thought that ABCs were going to be this potent. We look at the OCG format, we see that Menifos do better out there than they do here for whatever reason. Maybe something's not clicking for us that it's clicking there. Maybe it is that dice roll. Maybe it's because Japan's more casual. And with the TCG, I've said this time and time again, on the, not the American side, but the US, the Europeans, and just pretty much like the other side of the world that's not part of Japan, we're a lot more competitive and we want to win. It's in our blood to want to win. So I think that equals out a dice roll format where pretty much it's, I'm going to set up my board. If you could break my board, GG, scoop phase, let's go to game 2 kind of thing. And I've seen it, and it's easy to dissect from a viewpoint that's not, in that moment, in that swing of momentum that we've talked about. It's hard to really sit here and go, well, I would have made this play, but I don't get why he didn't. Because you're not in his mind, and can you feel the pressure of a YCS? It takes a lot of skill. And that's pretty much where this is going to go now. We're going to start talking about that in a moment. But I just want to basically go to the fact of this. This format is awful to me as a player because I don't enjoy having to constantly feel that pressure of breaking boards. I've liked a little bit more back and forth, or just OTK versus OTK, who's going to OTK first, who's going to have that advantage. This is more board establishing, which is different, but just not my comfort zone. So is it a terrible format? No, it's just not a format that I personally enjoy. So let's talk about the skill thing. Does Yu-Gi-Oh! Take skill? Absolutely. But if you are using a meta deck versus something that is super low tier, then of course it's going to look one-sided. Keywords I use there, it's going to look one-sided. Because skill cannot be determined unless it's an equal playing ground. It's like saying, okay, this guy's going to get a gun, that guy's going to get a knife. And they're going to be 20 feet away from each other. And granted that on both sides of the fence and whatnot, it's even playing ground and everything outside of what the weapon they have is. And you can go back to you can use whatever weapon is an extension of oneself and not just what it does. Something along those lines. I can't remember. But to the point, to say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't take skill is ill-mannered and incorrect. And people who do say that should really be looking at what they're doing to really determine whether or not it takes skill, especially when there's an entire community telling you otherwise. But I'll be honest, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm frankly tired of people asking me my 2 cents on it. I don't want to get into drama, but in short, yes, it takes skill. And if you play at that YCS or formerly show and jump level or even regionals, it takes a toll on your mind. Especially in a dice roll format, it's easy to say, oh, this game is, going nowhere because that's a popular thing to say. It gets views, and when people get views, you know where that goes, and I don't need to go into that. So I tried to sway a little bit different. I haven't been doing that as much because my mind's been elsewhere, obviously, with my injuries, but that's just for this week, because this week we talked about it. To the point though, the dice roll format pretty much sucks, and it's hard to say that every single deck will fall under that category of, if you win the dice roll, you got this, because something like Dark Lords have a much harder time establishing that board. They don't have that 100% consistency. Lightsworn is another example, or ABCs have a extremely easy time compared to everything else. And now, why aren't we seeing things like totally awesome heroes? I know I wasn't going to say that, but let's just put it this way. Why aren't we seeing Treat Toad, Dark Law, Bahamut Shark? That was going to be so popular. Because not always is a deck so popular and so viable online going to make that transition to the actual scene, because there's a lot of skill there and people are ready for it. They do their research for it. They play test physical. And I've tried to say this before, but some people just get really mad, is that YGO Pro is not 100% a perfect testing ground because of the RNG. The random number generator can interfere with a lot of that. Meaning, I could sit here and say, okay, even on Dead Pro, I could sit here and say, okay, it's a dice roll format because so-and-so example. But the reason I say it's a dice roll format is because if you have Dragon Buster, both players are playing ABC, and one player established the Dragon Buster turn 1. He's already at advantage over the other ABC player because he can disrupt that person's setup, that person's move. And that is just analyzing the situation and breaking it down to the simplistic way. Of course, there's other, variables that will count into that. Besides a player's skill, this game has luck. Every trading card game has some sort of degree of luck. Regardless of anything that people want to say, every trading card game has that same thing. And that's why you often hear me go on these Monday discussions and talk about Pokemon, Magic, and make that point go at home. Especially Vanguard. Vanguard's got tons of luck for what I've seen. But again, I don't play it, so I can't really 100% speak on it and actually sound exactly like I know what I'm saying, because, let's be honest, I don't understand shit about Vanguard outside of a few things. However, when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh!, the 2 arguments, is it a dice roll format? Absolutely. I can't stand dice roll formats because they're dull and boring to me, but I know there's plenty of people who enjoy that. So I'm not going to let that let my, disappointment of this format take away from other people's. And at the same time, yes, Yu-Gi-Oh takes skill, and anyone who tells you otherwise has not gone to that level of understanding the pressure and the back and forth power that goes in your mind, the mind games that comes with it. Yes, it may not be as complex as something like Pokemon, the game, not the trading card game, the actual game, which requires more strategy to some degrees, because obviously you're going in there with a pre-built team and you already can see what your opponent has, and there's not these like variables that come into it outside of the RNG that is attack damage. But again, I just want to break it down for those two parts, because I know this is like a two-part coffee time kind of thing. So you guys let me know what you think, of course, and I just want to say this one more time. I am so appreciative that you guys always stand by me, even when I'm wrong. Well, most of you stand by me, even when I'm wrong. I may say something incorrectly, and you guys are just always having my back. I appreciate it at the end of the day. If you guys could, help us out with the YouTube algorithm. I know this part sucks, by subscribing, liking, and commenting on the video, because it helps with the algorithm. Also, before I leave, the contest is nearly done. The main reason we haven't gotten out or made the announcement that the contest is over is, again, because my injuries, I haven't been able to go to the post office and get fucking basic stamps, which sucks. So that'll be done soon enough, and then I will make the announcement in an update video, which will be coming out probably in a week or so, that, hey, contest is over. These are the people who won. I'm going to randomly choose it. I'll be fair about it, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for more Yu-Gi-Oh goodness. Peace!